You're listening to the Shipyard Cat Podcast, the unofficial SAFC podcast for fans everywhere. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the pod. Mixing it up again, I'm taking the hot seat because we're going to go on about referees in this one, so it's got to be me. Joining me tonight, I've got Adam and Robin. First of all, how are you doing, Robin?
I'm good, mate. A little bit frustrated, but we'll come on to that. But yeah, can't complain. A nice, relaxing Sunday without too much of a drive.
This is true. And Adam, yourself, how are you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Busy all weekend, and as Robin just put the feelers out there straight away, very disappointed in some retrospect as well in that game.
Yeah, I mean, let's be brutally honest, lads. We can't be disappointed with going to Bournemouth and coming away with a point. I think we all probably would have taken that at the start of the week. I think the reason we're all probably disappointed is how poorly the game went. I mean, for the first 20 minutes, it did appear to all be them. But then we did seem to warm into the game. But without turning this into a referee rant, let's be honest. Jared Gillett did make it all about him, didn't he? I mean,
It's sort of standard
did it look that
behaviour,
way?
really. Yeah, I was jumping in there earlier, there, Kev. Yeah, it's standard behaviour with Jared Gillett, to be honest. You know, a man who is constantly in the VAR down in Stockley Park, you know, which interferes on games so many times, managed to get so much wrong from both sides. I'm going to say that because, you know, there's us singing "You're not fit to referee," and the Bournemouth fans are then singing to him, "You don't know what you're doing." You know, so it was like he made just bizarre decisions all game long, all over the park. Yeah, it just beggars belief, really.
I mean, before Adam jumps on the bandwagon of chance, I want to talk about that later.
Yeah.
Because some of it is comical. When people watch the highlights, they'll see the bit I want about when we talk about it. But in terms of decision making, do you think, and this is what I want Adam to answer, do we think part of Gillett's problem is because he spends so much time being VAR assistant, it's affecting his ability to do the job because he's now reliant on the man in his ear telling him what to do, who, if I'm right, could have been Craig Pawson for the game as well. I don't know officially who our VAR assistant was, but I thought Craig Pawson was involved in one of the VAR. He might not have been the main one, but I believe he was part of our VAR team this weekend, which just makes it even more comical.
For me, yes, I think he is heavily reliant on people in his ear because you can just see certain aspects of his game isn't there. Sounds horrible to say, but it's like certain little decisions go like a niggly foul, right? That's fine. Play on, perfect. That's fine. Play the advantage, and if it doesn't go anywhere, pull it back possibly or something like that. But some of the stuff he was letting go with clear fouls, and it was like, okay, are you going to blow? No, okay. And then we do something, right? Stop the game. VAR has told me you have to stop the game, and it's just like, why when Bournemouth do it, can you just carry on, but when it's us, you want to stop the game?
Go on, Robin.
Well, VAR doesn't actually tell the referees to stop the game. They wait until there's a break in play. I think our VAR assistant was David Bell, I think they said. It wasn't Pawson, but I mean, it's just mad that I sort of like last three games, you're thinking Liverpool, we had Kavanagh, got it wrong, apology. You know, Fulham, we had Pawson with, I think it was Gillett in the VAR then, which said that he's got to look at the penalty and ignore the offside. And then this week we got Gillett, and had the clearest view of the foul on Enzo for the penalty, didn't give it, and 30 seconds later he gives a foul for Trey Hume with less contact than what there was on Enzo. And then, obviously, later on in the game, Tyler Adams, almost breaking Granit Xhaka's ankle. How that wasn't a red card, I'll never know. And, I mean, when I saw the highlights last night on Match of the Day and stuff, and they were saying it's because of the push that it was a mitigating factor in him being reckless and out of control. When you look back on the foul that Gillett gave, which was Diarra, he hardly touched him. There was no push. If anything, he pulled him slightly. And it's just, how can these officials, with these replays, get the decisions so wrong against us now for the third week in the row? And that's what you got to be questioning.
If I can just touch on base in regards to obviously how we're seeing officiating, not just for us at the minute, it's going bad, just across the board. There was one game this week, I do apologise, I can't say exactly who it was, but exactly the same thing. Ball came swinging in, the player was pulled back, fell to the ground, but the referee went, no, he's offside. It doesn't matter about that, it's no pen. And it's like, okay, so if that can happen in this game, why when we had it, the offside wasn't looked at? It's one of these, the inconsistencies I think are going to be massively there. And I believe there was talk about saying they're looking to trial something else within VAR in the next couple of years as well. So is this just going to be more just colossus mess, or is this actually trying to improve it?
Well, I think VAR, we're getting a bit off topic with a review of the game, but I must say, it's like when you look at what would have been the winner for Burnley, would have been them fourth goal or whatever. I think they're given offside because of the top part of his arm, and it's like, you can't score with your arm.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, Evan Nielsen's header that he scored, it looks like it come off his arm, but because it's not clear and obvious, they gave the goal.
Yeah.
Today in the Arsenal-Chelsea game, the ball comes clearly off Declan Rice's arm. David Raya makes an absolutely fantastic save, but they just ignore it. I mean, Chelsea then scored off the next corner, which is fair enough. That one, you'd say that's karma and getting itself right. But it's just with us, the officiating at the moment seems to be like there is an agenda against us. It's like, hang on a minute. Sunderland started really well. Let's bring them back down to earth a bit. And we're getting constant bad decisions.
It seems to be, if they go down the route of more semi-automated VAR, which is I think the point you were looking at, Adam, that's where the challenges are going to get worse, because you're going to rely on a robot and a load of cameras to decide on contact. Well, if a referee can't get it right from 5 yards, you're going to struggle to get a robot to make that decision.
Yeah.
Like Robin said there, with the contact on the offside for Burnley, I know again we're going off on a random here, but referees have ruined this weekend's football for a lot of teams. They deemed it as because it was in the shirt line. Like it's just bizarre, isn't it? But in terms of the actual football, obviously, a point against Bournemouth at Bournemouth, a team that are in form. I don't think it's a bad result. Like you say, it's disappointing not to come away with 3 points, because realistically, that game would have been ours, I think, had Tyler Adams been sent off when he should have been, and had the penalty been awarded that should have been. It's a different game, isn't it? And then I see Ariola's come out in his press conference saying he thinks that we should have had a man sent off and they should have been awarded more. Like,
Yes.
the man's absolutely off his box. But
Yeah.
I get the impression that seems to be the case with a lot of these managers now. It was the same for Brighton's manager. They go
Mhm.
off on absolute tangents in their little press conferences, demanding more gets given their way, and then the following week, exactly that happens. But yeah,
Well, in a way, that's what Arsene Wenger did for years, isn't it?
Mhm.
Arsene Wenger used to say all the time about how his team were robbed and the decision that went against him. Then when something went in their favour, his stock answer is, "I didn't see that."
Mhm.
You know,
That's Arteta of today.
yeah. I mean, it is. Arteta's exactly the same. You're right. I mean, also, you know, with Christie coming on, when Christie came on, he just seemed to target Enzo constantly. You know how he stayed on the pitch. I'm really not sure because it wasn't just the fact that he was making bad challenges on him. You know, he was then trying to instigate something afterwards all the time, having a go at him and over the top of him, pushing him and stuff. And it's just like, hang on a minute, ref, you've got to sort this out.
Mhm.
You know,
but
it was
you
just
you
such
know,
a,
if Enzo would have reacted, Gillett would have been the first to have got the cards out and given Enzo a yellow card for something.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. You know, I mean, you called it on the preview, Kev, you know, about we were having Gillett and, you know, obviously the way he was with Dan Neil, you know, against Borough. Um, Yeah, it just seems that he's a referee that is just not good enough. And, you know, what do you do with him? I mean, that was championship that he wasn't good enough. And yet he's now in the Premier League being just as poor, if not worse.
Yeah,
Well,
my football knowledge may not be the greatest at times, and I may get things wrong, but I know my stuff about referees. I do research them
Yeah.
before the games and before pods for that exact reason. Um, I do understand though, he did have a bit of a fun train journey home because I believe the train home was full of red and white supporters, and I think they let him know how they feel about him. So
yeah.
I hope his bowel movements were hedgehogs, and we move on and stop talking about an idiot in the middle. And hopefully, the one against Leeds will not be so bad.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
I haven't seen who the ref appointment for that one is yet.
I think that's a tomorrow thing that we'll find that one out and we'll probably
Yeah.
share
I
the
mean,
thoughts.
it's just the thing. I mean, it is quite sort of comical that he was on the train with the travelling supporters. However, we don't want him to then take that further and give even more decisions against us that he's doing already.
Hmm.
You know,
And
but I mean,
well, there
I
is
think
that.
I mean, we're what 10 minutes in, and we haven't actually reviewed the game itself yet, have we?
We drew against Bournemouth, mate. What more is there to say?
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
For
I'm
me,
gonna come in there and say, obviously, you know, Eli started, scored a goal. You know, really good movement by the team. Great ball by Ballard up to Diarra. Good shot. It's nice to see people having shots. Obviously, Sadiq had one early on in the minutes of the game. You know, just before winning, so he should have got the penalty. Um, but yeah, my end, you know, in the right position at the right time, and that's what you want from people. And I think the decision to start him was warranted. I think if you'd started Wilson, I don't feel Wilson would have been in that position.
No,
I
because I
think
think Wilson
Wilson,
likes to drift across, doesn't he? Whereas
yeah,
Islander was happy being in the middle.
you know, you want someone in the box and that, you know, especially if you're going to attack like we are doing, you want someone who's going to pick that up. And yeah, yeah, Robin Ruff's another great display. I think he made a couple of good saves. One that sort of like, you know, I think from Tavernier, he hit it and he didn't hold it on, but then he spread himself really well to stop the rebound. Um, yeah, Dan Ballard. his usual self, well deserving of his new deal, which I'm sure we'll talk about later as well.
The other thing for me in that game as well, what was nice to see was Diarra. Like, I know he was unlucky with that 1-on-1, and just the way, I don't know if what you guys thought. It's just when he went down. Obviously, he was trying to get onto the loose ball. I was just hoping that would just bounce off his head and just skew past the keeper. I was just like, that would just be the typical DR, just to poke it in that way. But it seemed we had the flair back from the start of the season for me. We wanted to play football. We're playing that acute passing. I don't know if it is just because Jack is back. I don't know. But for me, it was nice, fluid. And as I said to you in the preview, Kev, for me, it was, we are playing a team that wants to play football. Yes, they were scruffy and horrific with the challenges, but they came to play football as well. They weren't wanting to just go, right, let's swipe a leg out, let's take this on. So for me, ultimately, I do agree. We'll take that 1-on-1 and we'll run with it because it stops the rot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I say, it's not an easy team to play against. They've been well established in the Premier League for a few years now, and they've had some talent, and they've got some talent. They've obviously in the window they lost Semenyo, and to be honest, they didn't look like they were a player short in terms of the quality. Um, I would say we definitely got the better goalkeeper in the transfer window, because obviously we were linked with with Petrovic, weren't we? But
Mm-hmm.
he chose the Cherries. Um, yeah, I think they did try and play football. I think Diarra did look good. I think part of it is a confidence with having Xhaka in the middle, that there is that kind of captain kind of telling the front and the back what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think when you always use a defender, they've got to focus a lot on their own job. I agree with Robin. I think Roof's had a very good game. It was just unfortunate that their goal came from a cross that where he did get caught in no man's land. But yeah, again, that's a questionable one of, did it come off his head or did it come off the top of his arm and get guided in?
Mm-hmm.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I mean, obviously, what we said a minute ago about Burnley, one of their goals was also disallowed for a handball.
Yeah.
Where I think the lad tried to move his arm away and it caught him. Well, in this case, the ball hits the head and the arm and goes in, and obviously it hits the top of the bottom of the bar and goes in. Sometimes we just don't get the luck. 9 out of 10 times, that probably goes over, goes wide, gets called for a handball, but it just wasn't one of those moments where we were going to get that, was it? But like I said a minute ago, lads, I'm happy with the point. It puts us on 37. We're 3 away from the 40 number that we seem to reset. Because originally, if I remember rightly, Raji said the target was 30 or
No,
33,
40.
and now it's
40.
40.
No, it was always 40, he said, Kev.
Was it always 40?
Yeah, I
But
think last season, though, I think it was like 28 points would have been enough to keep you up. But obviously this year it's a little bit more competitive, hence that bit between sort of 7th and 14th, where it's like split between, 5 points or something. It's if it's that many, it might be 4 points. It's a very tight middle of the table this year.
100%. And that bottom at the moment, 3 points separates sort of three teams at the moment. You've got West Ham on 25, Forest on 27, and Spurs on 29. A couple of results, and West Ham pull themselves into safety, and Spurs get dragged in. I mean, one more thing before we move on to the preview of Leeds. What on earth would happen in the Premier League if someone like Spurs went down? I mean,
Well,
that would probably cripple a team like Spurs. I think any London team getting sucked down right now would cause them a world of pain, because, I mean, Millwall's a prime example, Robin. I want to get your thoughts on this one. You get get someone like West Ham or Spurs go down. You've got the London bracket of wages for players because I think London clubs do pay more. They have to. So if they get pulled into that drop zone, could we have another Millwall on our hands with one of them?
Well, the thing is I mean, West Ham pay particularly high wages, so they would struggle immensely. Um, Tottenham's revenue from a home game is the highest in the league, I believe, because of all the packages they do and stuff like that. But even saying that, I think the cheapest season ticket at Spurs, like for an adult, obviously not for children or over 65, etc., etc. But I think the the cheapest season ticket at Tottenham works out at £101 a game.
Right then, isn't it?
Yeah, that's and are people going to want to pay that in the Championship? They've frozen their prices this year for next season. But it's still, yeah, they might get 4 more games, but it still means that they're going to be paying up in the 90s for a game in the Championship. That's the worry that these sort of like teams have, and yeah, I mean it's one of those. They Tottenham particularly don't typically they don't pay high wages. They tend to be one of the lower wage bills. That I think they are definitely the lowest wage bill within London, which is strange considering the size of the club. When you think you got Brentford and Fulham, etc. But Tottenham are, well, look, without getting into politics, they're Jewish, and we know what Jewish people are like with money.
Yeah.
They're extremely tight. They're probably tighter than the Scots. So, it's they don't like to pay a lot of wages and they like to take a lot of money in. But I mean, I must say, if they do go down, the teams that are in the Championship are gonna absolutely love going to that stadium. I mean, I've been in the hospitality section, and it's absolutely amazing. And I mean, amazing.
Doesn't bear
Um,
thinking about it, does it? Somewhere like the London City or the Spurs stadiums being in the Championship when you've
yeah.
got places like Oxford with three stands. But yeah,
Well, that's it. You've got what I mean. It was Tottenham. Is it 68,000 seater or something?
something like that.
It's
Yeah,
and then then you've got Bournemouth, which is probably the lowest capacity of the top two divisions anyway, 11,200 or something.
yeah. I was going to say there's them and Brentford, isn't it, with the G Tech? They're both quite small.
Yeah, they're small and that, and yeah, at least they've got 4 sides, unlike the
Certain
Kassam.
ones. But talking about small clubs, let's talk about Leeds. Sorry, I shouldn't. I shouldn't. But no, look. Remember, they're 24 points ahead of us, lads. So we really do need to respect them.
Yeah,
We do need to respect them. Um, Obviously, we face them this week, midweek game. Should be an interesting one because obviously Fark, whatever you want to call him. I've got some other names, but we're a friendly pod. Um, has been suspended for this one because he decided to lose his temper. Bless him. Um, yeah. What do we make of this one, lads? Obviously, it's the last of the kind of championship promoted sides to go against each other, isn't it? Obviously, we've played Burnley. Now we've got to face Leeds, and that should then be it onto kind of the last part of the season, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do we expect from Leeds?
A very difficult game. I don't know what your guys thoughts are. I know that for me, they're definitely going to be 100% more physical than like Bournemouth. They do like to go in heavy with the challenges. The rough and toughen a lot to the teams, but they are somehow managing to salvage results. I know they got beat on the weekend by City 1-0, but if you think about it, even holding City by 1, it's still a big thing for a newly promoted squad to be able to do that. And they've had themselves a little bit of a run as well. But I think it's just something we can go there if we play our football and don't let their mind games win. I think we should be all right. As long as we concentrate, and I think if Xhaka is fit enough, because obviously we're doing this before the press conference being released, which I think he will be. I think he'll be instrumental in this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure about them being more physical than Bournemouth. I mean, seeing it firsthand, Bournemouth were quite a physical team. There's a lot of stuff that was going on which probably wasn't picked up on cameras and that. Yeah, Leeds, you're going to expect it. I mean, I think that in midweek games under the lights, they've been unbeaten in so many. I can't remember the actual figure, but they were talking about that because obviously they were saying about what time the lights were coming on Saturday against City. Because it was like, is it going to be would the floodlights be on, which would then Leeds don't lose when the floodlights are on and stuff like that, but. Yeah, I mean, Farker's obviously suspended, so it means that he's not going to be on the touchline. Look, he'll still give the team talk down in the changing room. He'll relay the messages to someone in the dugout to get them on the pitch, etc. It doesn't really make a difference now for the managers like it used to because of the communication. The players will know which of the coaches is going to be relaying the messages from the manager or the head coach. Look, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be a lively atmosphere. Traditionally, us and Leeds do not like each other. I don't have ever forgiven us from beating them in the 73 Cup final when it was the mighty Leeds and we were a lowly second division team. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really tough game.
100%. I mean, what you were saying, Adam, about them having a good run, I think that comes from playing so many games what feel like they're at home for them.
Yeah.
They seem to get 3 or 4 home games clustered together rather than what seems to be for most teams in the division, which is a week away, a week at home, a week away, a week at home. Um, to back that up, in December they were, City away, then home and home against Chelsea and Liverpool. Then they were away to Brentford. Then they were at home to Palace. Then they were away to us. And then, recently they were at home against Arsenal, followed by home against Nottingham Forest. Then they were at home, obviously recently to City. Then they're at home against us. Then they're at home against Norwich in the Cup. So yeah, they seem to get runs of under the lights at Elland Road, which a rumor is next year is going to be a 60,000 seat grand stadium. I'll wait and see for that. But no, I agree with Robin. I don't think they've ever forgiven us for the 73 Cup final. I think every time we play them, they treat it like it's a derby. And do you know what? If that's what they need, then that's what they need, I suppose. But I can't see this being the most interesting of games, if I'm honest with you. I think both teams are just going to cancel each other out. And I'd happily take that right now. Go
Now, I
on, Robin.
must add there, Kev, obviously, you're saying about their fixtures, City at home, us at home, and a quick turnaround Tuesday night, and then Norwich at home in the FA Cup. We've had a trip to Bournemouth for an early kickoff.
Yep.
Then we're back home, trip to Leeds. Yes, it's not that far, but it's still a trip to Leeds. And then we've got a trip to either Bristol or Stoke, Port Vale, basically,
Yep.
at the weekend as well on the Sunday.
So, I mean, we seem to be the away team everywhere.
Yeah.
As long as we wear the blue strip, we'll be fine.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I've had a quick look, lads. This weekend, oh my word, I'm nearly as bad as you, Adam. The referee against Leeds is going to be Stuart Atwell.
Somewhat decent.
I'm going to reserve judgment on it the way it's gone lately.
I was going to say it depends who.
That's why I said somewhat decent.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this is going to be a spicy affair because obviously, as things stand, Leeds won't catch us. If they beat us, they won't catch us. But they're desperately trying to build a gap for the teams behind them. Because they're only 2 points ahead of Spurs. This is that whole kind of getting away from the bottom three kind of part now, isn't it? It's every point really does count at this part of the season.
I think that's what it is for me, because if, as you touched on earlier on, if you look at the ones that roar towards the bottom, your Spurs, your West Hams. If you look, Wolves won on the weekend. I'm not saying it's possible.
Out of nowhere.
I'm not saying it's possible, but if they did win every game and other teams around them start losing, you could see the unthinkable that they could stay up and things like that. And that's what I think Leeds are probably worried about, that those kind of teams, if they pull the results together, they get dragged down in the mix. Now, wait a second, we're here for a reason. We want to stay here. We don't want to fall under the same category of the newly promoted sides come up and get straight away put down. Like what we did at the start of the season. We don't want that. We feel comfortably where we are, but it's one of those things. Is that what they're trying to do now? We want to be established in the Prem for another year.
Well, of course they want to survive. Obviously, I think, Wolves are down regardless. They won a game against Villa, which is a derby. Basically at the end of the day, they're all up for it.
Yeah.
Rob Edwards has gone in there and he's got on playing better football. He's got on playing with some heart and a bit of belief.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. So I see Wolves will pick up some results towards the end of the season. They're not going to survive, because for them to survive, you've got to think that West Ham, Forest, Tottenham, and possibly Leeds aren't going to pick up enough points to basically stay above them. Same with Burnley. Burnley showed a bit of fight, and I think they were unlucky, to be fair. We were watching the highlights and stuff on TV, against Brentford, but the fact is, at the end of the day, they still lost that game. And this is the thing. These teams, you look at the results from today, obviously Forest lost down in Brighton. West Ham lost yesterday. Tottenham lost. It's the teams are there for a reason. And yeah, we just I've said it before, we've just got to concentrate on our own game. We've got Granit Xhaka back now, and he is glue in the team.
Yeah.
He makes everything happen. He connects the defence to the midfield to the forwards. And it makes such a difference. I mean, yeah, we've got a lot of injuries at the moment. I mean, when you think that the players that are out, with Mukiela, Ronaldo, Robbie, these are three lads that you'd put in the starting 11 every week.
100%.
And then
let's do predictions, lads. Sorry to cut you short, Robin, but we are running
out
of time.
We went on a
bit of a tangent about referees and also Adam starting late. We lost 5 minutes there.
Me.
Let's get your predictions then, lads. Robin, I'm coming to you first because Adam was late.
I actually think we're going to upset the apple cart here, and I actually think that we're going to come away with a 2-1 win.
Take it. Go on, Adam.
Robin's a thief, because I'm going to 2-1 as well.
You can have the same result. Um, I would agree with you both. To be fair, lads, I would absolutely love a 2-1. Do you know what I would love even more? A last minute goal, like they did to us what was it, last season, where we were up and then they scored that last minute header from,
Yeah,
was it Stack?
Strouk.
Strouk. That's the one. Thank you, Robin. Yeah, I would love nothing more than to beat them by a goal, even if it's a 1-0. Just a
Obviously,
smash and grab at the end.
I was waiting for Adam to jump in with the pronunciation of the name, but
Mate, I know. But
I
no,
can
look,
barely spell it, never mind say
I mean, to be fair,
it.
just to go back to the preview for the Bournemouth, he couldn't even get Antoine Semenyo's name right, and he played
and
for
he
us.
played for us.
Eh,
Anyway, listeners, thank you for listening in. Sorry it's been a ref rant. I know you don't always enjoy them, but it had to be said that Gillette's an idiot. Um, and yeah, we'll probably catch you all Wednesday when we review Leeds and preview someone in the cup.
Yeah, Bristol or Port Vale.
fingers crossed, Paul Bill.
Catch you all on the next one.